Okay, so thought I would give you guys a little glimpse into revisiting a painting. Now, I had done this painting yesterday, this exact location, this exact, almost exact time of day. However, because here in the West, light changes and moves really fast, you know, a lot of this, there's a lot of changes that happened in this painting from the time I started it to the time I finished, as far as shifting light and everything. So I wanted to come back and revisit it. I'm not sure how long I will poke at this, but I want to make some adjustments to try to get some more accurate colors and values. If you want to see this painting when I started it, go check out last week's video. You'll see the little thing up there, the little card where you can click on that. But this is a good thing to do, especially if it's a scene that you're not terribly familiar with. I never could say that word too well. And this helps you to make sure that you captured it as accurately as possible. I used to be of the mindset that, you know, everything had to be done strictly alla prima, and I usually try to do that, but sometimes things don't always work strictly alla prima. Sometimes you have to go back and visit it again, and I honestly think that can be a good thing to do, whether you're touching up, you know, the first painting, your first attempt, or whether you're just doing a new one, because you can really get to know the scene better by doing this. A lot of this painting is actually already dry. This is 24 hours ago, and you can see I'm rubbing it, and there's the white's a little bit tacky, and the green's a little bit tacky, but this blue here, this stuff is almost bone dry. It is so hot and dry here. You can see I'm trying to scrape some of this off, and you know, it's coming off, but not very well. So one of the things I thought could improve this painting was to simplify this area here. I really got carried away. As the sun swung over this way, it started to illuminate a lot more of the little things going on here, and I don't think it really helped. So I think I can make this better by simplifying this, but just putting things more in shadow. It's kind of how it is now. And by just making some adjustments. Now, in a perfect world, I would be using medium for this paint, but I didn't really bring any medium with me on this painting trip, because I usually do finish things alla prima, and if I don't, you know, it usually takes my paintings a couple days at least to dry. That is definitely not the case here. But as a result, this will probably be a relatively short video compared to what you're used to. But for those of you who are wondering, you know, can I touch up a painting? Can I touch up a plein air painting? Absolutely. And if you can go back to the location that you did it, that you originally did it, and touch it up there, all the better. But I used to have this mentality, you know, one shot and that's it, then you're finished, and you have to move on to something else. And plus, when I used to come out west, I used to try to just capture everything and anything I absolutely could. You know, one day I paint in the mountains, the next day I paint out in the plains and the prairie areas, next day I might go in the foothills, and then I go home and with a whole bunch of stuff, and none of it was that good, just because I was so schizophrenic. And so now I'm more the mentality, you know, if I can spend a few days in one spot and really get to know that spot and really understand the lighting, the tones and everything, all the better. By the way, for my colors, I mean, I think I mentioned them in last week's video, but I'll just mention them again. Titanium white, nickel yellow, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, viridian chromium green oxide, and Gamlen's Portland gray light. The nice thing about the paint being dry, though, is that there is a lot of little crevices and things like that in here, and it makes it a little bit easier to put that in, to imply that. By the way, if you're new to my channel, if you could do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and probably want to hit the notification bell. I try to post every week. Can't promise that I will be able to, but I'm so far for quite a while, for many months now, I've been keeping up on that promise. By the way, I know I said, I think I might have clarified this. Sorry, I just don't think too well when I'm painting. But while you're seeing this video a week later, I just want to clarify that this painting I had started yesterday. I'm just posting it on YouTube a week later, because I post once a week and it's just the way I do it, so. If you're interested in supporting my channel, besides subscribing and giving me likes, which I truly appreciate, I have a Patreon account set up where you can contribute a monthly amount. If you're interested, check it out. One of the tricks with painting these alpine scenes is when you look at the actual spot you're painting, if you zero in, say like right around here, which is where I'm zeroing in right now to a certain degree, you'll start to see all kinds of colors, all kinds of value shifts in there. And if you start painting all that in, pretty soon it's going to just, it's not going to fit in with the rest of the scene. You're going to overpaint what's there. And so you always want to make sure that you're squinting and considering the whole scene, and not just focusing in on one area. And that's how when you get done with the painting, how it ends up looking not uniform, not keyed in. Because you were painting the elements in there almost as if they were a separate thing, a separate painting. Everything you put in affects everything else. Always have to remember that. Like this spot I'm painting right here, when I look at it, I see a lot of red in there when I look at it by itself. But when I squint at the whole scene and I look at the whole thing together, it's actually very cool in color temperature. You know, you'll zero in on this spot right here and you think you're seeing all these greens, and so you'll start to paint them green. You'll whip out some dark green color, and pretty soon the whole thing is coming forward and just doesn't look like it belongs. So always consider the whole, consider the entire composition and how what you're painting, how it affects that. See, now that right there, I just made that mistake myself. So even though I think I'm seeing all this green in there, I really got to cool that down and lighten the value. Because what's more important than trying to identify and capture a particular color that you think you're seeing in there, it's more important is that this feels further away. See all this when I'm putting in right here, this, by the time I really got to make adjustments on this is in shadow. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I really liked how this scene looked when I first arrived, but it just was constantly changing. You might hear this consistent noise in the background that's actually kind of a rapids, a stream running from East Rosebud Lake, which is where I'm basically at. East Rosebud Lake is just right down in there. So nice that it's not traffic. You do get some cars coming through here, but not too many. I think I might try tackling this snow one more time. By the time I got to this snow yesterday, it was mostly in shadow. But when I started, it was mostly in sunlight. And it is mostly in sunlight again. So I think I might take another shot at it. I actually have some clouds going over it, so some of it's ending up in shadow again. That's not exactly like the photo, because there's some business that comes out here and comes down, and I didn't really paint that in. I kind of oversimplified the scene because I'm trying to cram, oops, I hit my microphone, because I'm trying to cram a lot into a more horizontal size canvas, but no big deal. That's something, if I decide to do this painting later in the studio, I can plan that out and fix it up. As you guys have heard me say many times, I'm after color and value, and just that beautiful atmosphere that I'm never going to get from the photograph. I know that. I see a lot of guys paint mountains strictly from photos, and they get a lot of detail in there, things like that, but they just can't get the feeling that you're really there, that air. There's something when you're up in these mountains, you know, and the wind's blowing on you and the lights just glaring. You just can't get that from that lighting and everything. You just can't get that from a photo, no matter how hard you try, I don't think. Actually I see this coming down. I didn't notice this yesterday, but I think it's actually some of the stream from the glacier that feeds down into the lake. So that's really neat. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break, wander to my car, get something to drink, and then come back and give this a fresh eye. And see how we look here. Okay, I'm back. And overall, I'm pretty happy with this. One thing I'm seeing here is a shift from a very dull reddish color to a slightly cool green, which makes sense given the how aerial perspective works. And also up in here, this little canyon area inside here, it gets a little bit lighter in value. There's some kind of air lighting effect going on up there. Probably from some ambient light bouncing around, reflecting some sun. It's really beautiful though. It's so subtle. I might have overdone it there, overdid it, whatever is the correct way. As I said, don't come to me for vocabulary lessons. And right up in here it gets real. Real airy. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought there. I have a tendency to do that, by the way. I'll start a thought and not finish it. I guess that's why I paint, because I'm not a poet. I just want to take home this feeling, this effect that I have when I look at this. When I get home, I want to look at this and just go, "Yup, I was there." You can, you can just feel it. In fact, when I first started, I used to do art in high school, and I stopped cold turkey for about 10 years and became a musician. And when I decided to get back into art, I remember telling somebody, I want you to be able to feel the wind and the air and be able to smell the scent. In my work. And I don't know if I've gotten that yet. I don't know if I ever will, but I guess history can judge that. But that's my goal. Sorry, I had to whack a bug away from me. One of the things I'd love to take home with me is that river sound. Such a beautiful sound. There's something about doing these plein air sketches too, is that just the act of constantly looking at the scene for hours is going to help you as well, even if the painting doesn't turn out so great. You spent all that time out there just staring at it, and it can be almost like a form of not to get all new agey in that, but I'm a devout Catholic, so that's my creed. But it's almost like a form of meditation, and just capturing the beauty of what has been given to us. And not just the visual beauty, but if you can capture the somehow capture the breeze blowing and the sound of the river and everything. To me, that's the greatest compliment, when somebody looks at my work and they say, I can almost hear the wind going through the trees, or I can smell the pine or something like that. When they look at my painting and they say that to me is the greatest compliment. I know people do this, it's meant to be a compliment. I never take it as an insult, but when people say that looks just like a photograph, and I know, like I said, I totally know that's what, that's most people's way of saying, exactly what I was just saying. It feels real, it looks real. But to me, it's really a greater compliment when somebody says, wow, I can smell the pines there. Because photographs, to me, don't look that real. I mean, when you think about it, they really compress value, or they really extend values and things like that, and they just don't capture things. Hello. But as I was saying, they just don't capture things like the human eye does, or like an artist does when he or she really, can capture it with paint. And I just know that when somebody says, wow, that feels like you're there, I've succeeded, in my opinion. And they call really tightly detailed paintings, they call it photorealism, or they'll call it realism, photorealism. Because I don't think photos are that great at capturing reality. I think they should just call it photoism instead of realism, because realism to me is just when you've just captured that, the smell of the trees, the wind going through the pines and things like that. That to me is realism. And there are artists out there who paint, every feather in an animal, or every hair in an animal and things like that, and they call that, realism or photorealism. And some of them do it, some of them don't, but for me, unless they're capturing the air and the atmosphere and that, and I guess if you're doing a close-up on an animal, it's kind of hard to have the atmosphere in it because you're close up, but anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. I should probably shut up or somebody's going to get mad at me. Trying to give it one more look here. This is my last hurrah at it. Just want to say too, if you're interested in studying under me, I teach live online oil painting classes. We record all the sessions. I take you through a painting start to finish, step by step. I talk a bit more about it in my other videos. But if you're interested, click on the link below. It'll take you to a waiting list. You can sign up. We only let people in once a month because we spend 1 month working on a painting from start to finish. But anyway, check it out. Okay, so the light is starting to change again quite a bit from where it's at. I should probably call it a day because too much more and I'm going to be, if I don't stop soon, I'm going to end up basically just repainting everything I did yesterday when it was a little bit later.